Hey reviewers, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys have been well. My name's Jonathan and today we're taking a look at the BMW G31 Touring. Let's take a closer look. Okay guys, let's start by having a look around the outside then, and then we'll go on to the interior and drive from there. So this is the G31, it's the touring version of the BMW G30 I guess, came out in 2017, and it replaced the BMW F10, which was an incredibly popular car. Now if we just take a look at the front of this car, this is where some of the major updates have been taking place, just to start with. So cosmetically, it's got brand new LED lights, front and rear, so all round LED. You can get the adaptive laser lights on there, but from what I've heard, it's not a huge difference. This grille, although this one isn't stock, you've got vents here which actually open up to let more air into the engine, let it breathe when it gets hot. Yeah, I think the look of the car looks fantastic. Very slick. Going around to the side of the car then, this one's got the extended shadow line pack on the car, and I would recommend it, especially if you've got family as well. The tints really kind of help, not just with the look, but also sun protection when you're inside. Now this is the M Sport version, so it's slightly lower than the standard SE version, and you get these lovely 19-inch wheels with the M Sport Plus pack on there as well. Definitely recommend going for that, and I'll explain why when we get inside. Going around to the back, of course it's a touring, so you can open up the boot a number of ways actually. If you've got it, which this car doesn't, you can kind of wiggle your foot down here and it would open up if you've got the comfort access. Now we don't, so unfortunately us paupers, we've got to make do with a few different ways to do it. Now I do have the tech pack, so with the key you can hold boot unlock, and up she goes. You can also close it with this as well, which is pretty handy. Nice. Now something else you might not realise as well, it's got a split tailgate feature on this car, which is very useful I might say when you get something in a hurry, because the parcel shelf here, this retracts back automatically so you can get things in and out very quickly, and then close it up just like so, and back she goes. So yeah, from the rear I think the car looks outstanding. Again, you've got updated lights on the back here, you've got that kind of half splitter effects on there in grey, which looks really nice, and twin exhausts, and they are both real exhaust as well, although the bits on the end there just for cosmetic reasons. You do get parking sensors all round as standard as well, so you've nothing to worry about there. And you get pedestrian safety features as well, which I'll come on to a bit on the inside, but all round from the outside I think the car looks lovely. Okay guys, so this is the 2017 BMW G30 G31 interior. Now I've got it in the M Sport trim, and I have to say I think that's probably the best one to go for, but it really does depend on what you want. So I think it's great because you get sportier type seats on there, which is something I wanted, but they are comfortable, and you've got loads and loads of space in here as well. So yeah, I think it was really good. Now with the M Sport as well, the reason I went for it is I want that sportier look. I want it to be a bit lower and look sporty of course, but you can go for the M Sport Plus pack as well, and you get the addition of the Harman Kardon sound system here, which I think looks really awesome, and the sound in them is absolutely incredible, but it really completes the interior aesthetics I think. As part of the M Sport Plus pack, you also get as well the 19-inch wheels that I showed you from the outside, so I think they really kind of complete things and look really awesome too. Another pack that I would definitely say go for on the interior of these cars is the tech pack. Now you won't be able to see it, but I think I've captured it well enough. There's a heads-up display on there, and you get as well a charging tray down here, and you can fit some of the bigger phones in there, so I think that's really spot on. Just to give you a bit of an idea of space in the back, yeah, it's absolutely cavernous, and to kind of prove a point, because I'm a dad, that's my daughter's car seat in there. It's one of the bigger ones where it kind of spins around, but you've got loads of room in there, and mum can still get in there no problem whatsoever. Storage wise, you've got loads in this car. You've got all the traditional spaces you would think of down in here, got storage in there. You've got USB charging points, you've got charging point down there as well. And then coming onto the center console, it's finished really nicely actually. So I've got the kind of piano black with the M Sport type interior there. And I think it looks absolutely spot on. It's very well made, it's very, very sturdy. It's just a very upmarket interior here, and I feel like you get a lot of value for money, which I'm going to come on to as well in a bit. Moving up onto the centre bit here then, so you've got traditional air conditioning unit. It is dual zone climate control. You can get 4-zone as well, so you can have it in the back if you need it, but to be fair, I think standard dual zone's brilliant. Now you get heated seats as standard, which are just down here, and yeah, overall fit and finish of it's brilliant. One thing I really like about this car is that with BMWs now, they've kind of got the right mix of touchscreen and physical buttons, whereas some other German manufacturers have kind of gone all tablet fest in there. Now I think you get the right balance here of buttons that you can press when you need them. You do have touchscreen here, by the way, which we'll come on to in a little bit, so you've got elements of touchscreen, but not everything is a screen, and I think that's good, because when you're driving, it's good to memorize where controls are, but if it's a touchscreen, if you're driving and you're fiddling with something down here, that's not as easy. But if you said, right, I just want to turn that off, or turn the volume up, or just make it warmer or colder, that's easy to do without having to lose focus of the road. Now with this multifunction wheel as well, you can control quite a lot of it from here, of course, and then on the main screen up here you've got this lovely TFT dash on there, which I think is fantastic, and it all kind of comes alive when you start the car, and you can change it between Sport and Eco Pro and just the standard comfort mode, and you can change those driving modes down here as well. Now the car will start in comfort mode as standard. I think put it into sport mode and everything kind of sharpens up, so throttle response definitely, gearbox response definitely quicker. What you'll find as well, there is electronic suspension in this car, so it kind of tightens everything up, although the G31, which is this car, has air suspension on the back, and that also makes it a bit firmer and a bit stiffer, so in terms of handling wise, yeah, very, very good. All your traditional controls are standard, you would think. Electric everything over here, auto lighting. Of course, on this car pretty much everything is also a standard, although you can get radar detection systems for your cruise control, and you have some additional buttons here. But you do get a lot, so rain sensing wipers, auto lights, I mentioned the LED all round as well, so that's awesome. You get all of these screens on the 5 Series as standard. This one here I think is 10.5, and again that's all touchscreen, and yeah, it's an awesome system. Now the 2017 versions, they run iDrive 6, which is this one here and this screen. Now I think it's very good, and if people ask enough about it, I'll do a deeper dive. We won't do that today because I promise you we'd be here forever, and I want to get to driving, but it is, in my opinion, one of the best systems on the market, because not everything is touchscreen. You've still got this scroll wheel to control the system, which works really well. You can do touch functions on there as well. You've got your shortcuts, and again, you've got an element of touchscreen, so if you want to go into your nav there, you can just bring it up, and I think the system is really good. It's very snappy, very responsive. When you start the car, although I think we're going to get a fuel warning, you have got a start button there, so foot on the brake. Everything kind of comes to life on there, which is awesome. You normally get a hello Jonathan message as well, but I think that's because I'm already in here. Now, when you press these modes here, the driving modes, to switch between Sport, Comfort and Eco Pro, that's going to change the look of this up here. So I'm just going to do that for you. If we put it into Sport mode, in fact, I want to show you this animation first. Get the car spinning out there, little things, but yeah, it's nice. I'm just going to change this back as well. So there's your comfort mode. There's your sport mode. So red dials, everything's a bit more sporty. I think it looks really cool actually. You have to kind of see it and experience it, but I think it works really well. Eco Pro, you kind of get the blue effect on there, and again you get the car popping up on the side. But yeah, this is awesome. Now you can play a game of charge here in efficiency, which is quite good fun. It's worth mentioning as well that in terms of driving modes, Eco Pro is the only one that gives you the coasting feature with this ZF 8-speed gearbox. So when you're driving along, it's a bit like clutching in. You won't get that on the comfort and sport modes unless you get it coded, but we won't get into that. So yeah, comfort wise, fantastic. I think build quality, absolutely superb. Features and functions, yeah, some of the best in the market. Now, of course, you've got airbags all round on this car. It's a 5-star NCAP rated car, but you also get a few other bits of standard as well. So you get their safety features built in, and BMW intelligence safety features. I just want to show you what some of those are, because they're here as standard. If we go into configure, you've got the pedestrian alert system there as well, which is pretty cool. So you're going to get alerts here, and you can have intervention with braking as well as the warning. So again, it's going to help you rather than just let you know before it's too late. And again, you've got the same thing with collision. Now, I set mine to early. I have very, very rarely had this come up on the car. In fact, the only time it's actually come up is just by me approaching a wall when I'm parking, and that's not because I was going to hit it, it just mentioned it was there. But other than that, no, never needed it. So yeah, very, very cool, full of features. Absolutely love the iDrive system. If you want a deeper dive into it, let me know and I will do that, no problem whatsoever. Now, in terms of just a bit of advice, and it is just my opinion on this then, guys, I bought this car, I don't know, a year and a bit ago, and I bought it for 24 grand, which I think was an absolute steal, because this car with the packs that it's got on it, which is the M Sport Plus and the Tech Pack, was something like 45, 46 grand brand new. So I got it for 24. Now, I know full well you can get these cars from a dealer, a main dealer this is, for around 20 grand, and they've probably got barely any miles on them, so between 30 and 40,000 miles. And there's a very good reason as to why you might want to do that. And again, it's just my opinion, so take what you want from it. But if you're going to buy this car, rather than thinking, yeah, but if I don't buy it from a main dealer, I'm going to save a couple of grand, you're probably right on that one. However, with BMW, because of their fondness of customer service and wanting to do things the right way, they are very efficient at doing their end of warranty checks. So a top tip for you, if I may, would be buy a car which is maybe 2 to 2.5 years old, so you've still got at least 6 months of the warranty left. Enjoy the car, have a beautifully prepped car, and bearing in mind you can still get these for around 20 grand, you can probably even negotiate. Have a lovely car, very well prepped car, and in those months before the end of its warranty, you can find out all the things that may or may not be wrong with the car. But certainly if there is anything, you can make a list of them, because what BMW will do is before the end of your warranty, they'll book you in for an end of warranty check. And the dealerships are not the bad guys here. They, in all fairness, for the workshop, want to book in the work. So you can go in there with a whole list of things that you've come up with on the car that you want to get fixed. And it's in their best interest to get all the work through the workshop. So they'll get it done, and 99% of the time, everything is completely free. And if anything isn't going to be free, they would tell you about it in advance. So what I'm trying to say here is, rather than risking it with a non-main dealer and perhaps ending up with a bit of a lemon, you know you're going to get a good car from a main dealer, because it has to have full BMW service history. All of the ticks need to have been put in the box. And then if there is anything wrong with it, then actually you can get it all fixed pretty much under warranty. So by the time your car is 3 years old, it's as good as new, because if there was anything wrong with it, they're going to fix it. I probably waffled a bit there, but I had it with this car myself. There was a few things that it picked up, like some of the ambient lighting was playing up and just a few other little niggly things. Now, I booked it in, everything was done free of charge, and they even updated the versions of the iDrive system and software and everything. So the car felt like brand new when I got it back. So yeah, just a bit of a buying tip for you there. Take from it what you will, but that's what I would recommend doing. Now the SEs, if you don't want an M Sport, you can get those for 18 grand from a main dealer. So again, an absolute steal. You're getting a car for less than 50% of what it was new, but you can get a car which is pretty much as good as new. Because in terms of the facelift, yeah, they've done a few little bits, but most of the interior is the same. It is running iDrive 7, so you do have a different system up here, different display, but I don't know, let me know what you think in the comment section. I actually quite like these dials, if I'm honest with you. I've driven a 3 Series with the newer ones, which runs iDrive 7, but I actually really like these. I think they work really well, but each to their own. So yeah, to summarise then guys, fit, finish and everything that you need feature-wise on this car, yeah, brilliant. I think you get an awful lot for the money, especially in the used car market. Any burning questions about the interior, definitely let me know in the comment section. You know me, I'll be on to it straight away. More than happy to help you with anything. So any questions, let me know. Other than that, let's get on to the drive. So I do love this about the car. When you start it up, everything illuminates, the TFT comes to life, BMW logo on there. Absolutely awesome. So the car always starts in comfort mode, by the way, just so you know. You would probably drive it most of the time in comfort, but when you want to take it out for a deeper drive, you know, a bit more fun, something a bit more dynamic, whack it into sport mode, and it really sharpens things up. I must admit, every time I get in this car, I absolutely love it. Puts a smile on my face. So I might have mentioned in previous videos, if you watched any of those, I'm 6'4", Big guy at 20 plus stone. The 5 Series just fits me really, really well. So I've got plenty of headroom, and the seat can actually go quite a lot lower than this as well. Loads of leg room, but the way everything kind of wraps around you, I just absolutely love it. The seating position is perfect. The view of the road is brilliant. Nothing's too low. So yeah, absolutely awesome. We're going to take you through a drive through some country roads down here with a mixture of 40, 50s, town driving and national speed limit. So the first thing I noticed when I drove this car is just how comfortable it is. It's incredibly refined. It's very quiet in this cabin as well. They spent a lot of time making it super, super quiet, super comfortable. The materials used in the door cards, underneath the flooring as well, and even in the roof. You get a great view of the road, very commanding, very confidence inspiring. Positions of everything really are perfect. Right, so I'm just coming to a 30 now. I've left it in comfort mode because I wanted to demonstrate something to you, which is just how relaxed the throttle is. So of course it's fully auto. I mentioned it's an 8-speed ZF. Just coming to a bit of a roundabout here, small one. But you put your foot down, it's nice and relaxed. It just kind of wafts along. So it's picking up there nicely, but yeah, it's quite relaxed. Now we're in comfort here at the moment. We've got a car in front of us, so I can't really go a lot faster, but I'll put it into the sport mode, and I've already shown you some of the bits, but immediately the car kind of springs to life. The dials have changed there. You get the display up on the top screen here, the main 10.5-inch screen. So you've got the BMW car which kind of rolls out, which looks really awesome. Right, so the car's in front of me, but I'm just going to hold back a little bit, and I'm just going to show you a bit of acceleration, so bear with. So it dropped down nicely there, and the way it picks up is fantastic really. Because it's such a big car as well, you don't really notice it. The speed is quite deceiving, in fact. 50, 60 miles an hour, it really feels like kind of 30 to be honest. So sport mode is very reactive. It sharpens up the throttle response, the ZF gearbox. On this car as well, it tightens up all of the suspension, and being the G31, the wagon, the air suspension at the back, everything kind of stiffens up, and it's really noticeable, but in a good way. It's quite different to comfort mode, but it really does make a difference. Sport mode is really good. I probably do drive it in sport mode myself most of the time, and the reason for that is I prefer the sharper throttle response. I find that comfort's a little bit too relaxed, and I feel like eco is way too relaxed. I probably would very, very rarely use it. Although I did use eco mode on our Cheddar trip, it seems a long time ago now, and we did a full tank before I left, and I had been getting probably around 600, 650 out of a full tank, but we did pretty much mainly motorway driving, and I used Eco Pro and cruise control and all of the clever features and functions, and at one point he actually gave us a predicted full range of 800 miles. Now by the time we did a few stops, and we stopped in Bath, we did a few different bits, the overall that we got out of that tank was 720, but that's a real world example of what you can get on this car. So for a big car, and I think it weighs 1750 kilograms, it's not bad going. And that was fully loaded and absolutely packed out with family gear, baby in the back, child seat, multiple suitcases as you can imagine. So yeah, the economy was actually pretty decent. In terms of day-to-day handling then, I would say this car is superb. It really feels very nimble. It feels like a 3 Series almost, but it gives you the benefit of this very roomy and luxurious interior. And you know, as I'm 6'4", I'm quite a big guy. This for me feels like it just fits perfectly. I'm just going to give you a tiny bit of acceleration down here. 40, 50, 60. So yeah, it doesn't mess around. Now, 0 to 60 on this car stock is 7.5, and when I tested the car when it was stock, yeah, it absolutely does that every time. Maybe even a little bit less, if I'm honest with you. It doesn't have launch control, but you can still launch the car, if that makes sense. Not that you're going to be using it for that necessarily, but I just wanted to try it for the acceleration. This particular car, I've had it chipped, but let's just go through the stock figures first. So the engine figures are, I think it's 188 horsepower, but let's just say it's 190 for the video. It's a 2-litre diesel engine, and it produces 400 newton meters of torque. So it is very torquey, and I can genuinely tell you it feels like that. This car, even though it's a big estate car, it never ever ever feels underpowered at all. And I really mean that. So also motorway driving, it never ever feels like it's underpowered. It always feels like you've got enough there. You can always accelerate, no problem whatsoever. I mean, at the end of the day, this was designed probably to be a bit of a autobahn cruiser, you know. It's designed to just munch miles all of the time, and it does that impeccably well. Now, I've run a DT tuning box on my previous cars. I run one on my E60 as well, and it's made such a phenomenal difference to a 520D. The performance is, it's not far off actually, it's not far off of the 530D. My logic behind doing it initially was that I wanted the economy, thinking I was going to get something like the brochure figures, but I also wanted a bit of performance, but I didn't want to spend, you know, the extra £3,000 to get the 530D. So I went for the tuning box, fit it myself. It takes about 15 minutes maximum. Most of that is really just accessing the points where you plug it in. I'll do a separate video on it if you're interested, but in a nutshell, it got the 0 to 60 of this car down to, on average, I would say 6.4, 6.3. But don't take my word for it, I'll do a video on it as a follow-up with a draggy unit which I've got, so you can see, and we'll do live on the cameras as well. Something I haven't spoken about too much now that we're driving is this gearbox. So I mentioned it was a ZF 8-speed gearbox, and it's probably in 95% of the BMW lineup these days. It's such a good gearbox, it's so capable and very responsive. You really feel a difference between the car driving modes as well. I love the layout of it, I really think it's fantastic. You can put it into a manual type mode if you like, so sliding it across to the left just like this will change it on the screen. It's now in sport mode. You might be able to see it on here, but I'm going to do some cuts to it anyway. So that's now, if you like, its sportiest auto mode, and it will use all of its gears if it needs to. The shifts are much quicker, the kickdown's much quicker, and it will stay in gear a bit longer as well. But you can't damage the car, but you just cannot damage the car. So it will always shift down for you regardless, so you're never going to stall, and it will, almost regrettably, it will shift up for you always. So even if you wanted to take it to the top of the rev range for whatever reason, you kind of can, but it will always change. It will always change for you. Now you can put it into a manual mode, so if you use the paddle shifters on here, the S changes to an M, and you can then manually shift. And one thing I've noticed with this, it will give you a lot more rope. So you do get a bit more of a dynamic drive by using the paddle shifters. It's not as good as a manual, of course, it can never be, but it is quite good. One thing, like I mentioned though, in manual mode, it's still shifted there. So even in manual mode, where you're meant to have the full control, it will still shift up for you. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's a fun driving mode. It's a bit of a shame that they don't give you the full control to do what you want to, but I understand why they do it. It's there to protect the engine, the gearbox, and ultimately to keep the car functional for you. If you want to get back out of the manual mode at any time, if you hold the right paddle shifter down, I think it's like 2 seconds, it will go back into a full auto mode if you like. Now I just want to give you a bit more acceleration down here just to show you again. So we're in third, dump it down. It's 50, 60, 70. I'm just going to leave it there for now. But yeah, the car is no slouch whatsoever. Honestly, it picks up so well. One thing I really like about this car as well, being the M Sport, is the steering wheel. It's nice and chunky. Some people don't like that. I just think it feels great, to be honest with you. But then again, quite a big guy, so it just kind of works. The paddle shifters, I don't really use it too often, but I love the steering wheel. I love the way everything's kind of laid out for you. It's very intuitive, it's easy to use, everything is just at your fingertips, and yeah, for me, absolutely spot on. I do like the dials at the front. Even driving in bright sunshine, they're still very clear. My only critique of these dials is that they can occasionally get a little bit dirty, but if you're like me, you're going to keep the car clean anyway. And if you use like screen cleaner, like a TFT type cleaner, and a microfiber cloth, they'll come up beautifully. Can I give you a top tip here? If you're going to clean that screen, clean it when the car is off, when the screen is off. The reason being, that screen gets quite warm, and when you're trying to clean it, it will then get a bit smeary. So for longer drives, these seats then, I find them super comfortable. I think they're really, really good. On very long drives, and it could just well be me, I feel like I do sometimes get a bit of a backache, but that just could be a long journey, to be honest with you. I've heard the comfort seats are incredible. This car doesn't have them. These are the standard M Sport seats. But for the most part, very, very good, very supportive. They're pretty much fully electronic as well. So yeah, comfort-wise, I think it's superb. You get loads of room. There is loads and loads of space in this car. So I don't think you're ever going to feel like you don't have enough room for, you know, a bigger family. So yeah, the handling, going through dynamic corners and a bit of enthusiastic driving, it's really on point. It's confidence inspiring. The car just grips for days. Of course, it's not a sports car, but if you want something which gives you that dynamic drive, but is luxurious and spacious, the 5 Series, honestly, it hits the nail. It is on point. Of course, its competitors are the Audi A6, Mercedes E-Class. Now, when this car was launched, it was 2017. In fact, I think it just had the edge on Mercedes to market for the E-Series, for the E-Class. Audi were actually behind, so their new A6 didn't come out until 2018. And the reason I would choose this car definitely over the A6 is not because it's not a good car, it's because I think the VW group have gone a bit far with their screen technology. So especially in the A6, it's now basically just screens everywhere and very little real buttons to press. And the problem with that is when you're driving, especially faster speeds, motorway speeds, if you need to make a minor adjustment, you can't just instinctively press a button or turn, you know, the volume, for example. It's a touch thing, so you've really got to look at what you're doing and what you're pressing all the time. And at the end of the day, much like I was doing then, just instinctively, you're not looking at the road. And I think for a premium car, they should have found perhaps a better way to do it. Whereas the 5 Series and also the E-Class, they still give you real buttons to use. Now the E-Class has got an absolutely beautiful dash. You can go for a fantastic one. I feel like the 5 Series gives you the best of both worlds. So you do have this TFT dash for the main dials here, but you can change it between different sporty modes, and I think that kind of gives it that analog vibe still. You've got the beautiful TFT on the main screen here for the main dash, but then you've got BMW's iDrive system. So you've got the scroll wheel here, and you've got all of your hotkeys for your phone, media, satellite navigation, the maps. And for me personally, I feel like that is the best of both worlds. That literally does give you everything that you need without making it overly complicated. You've got still a physical system there for the air conditioning and climate control. You've got a physical button there for the volume and the power. Physical buttons for your stations there as well, although some of them can be touched, to be fair. At the end of the day, it's each to their own, but I just think because we can make everything touchscreen, should we? I don't know. I don't think we should just yet. Certain things, yeah, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, tablets and phones have come on such a long way, there's no going back. But just because you can put tablets in cars doesn't mean you have to. I think BMW have still got that mix down just right, which is why for me personally they're my favourite brands. The 5 Series is always going to give you that exclusivity. It is a 5 Series, you know, it's a unique car, it's special, it's built well, it's reliable, it's enjoyable to drive, and that's the feeling that this car gives me. Just to kind of summarise, every time I look at this car, especially when it's clean, it makes me smile, you know. And I feel like when you're buying anything in life, whether it be a car or a motorbike, I don't know, a bit of jewellery, I guess, I don't know, but with anything in life, when you're making a big purchase, I feel like if it doesn't make you smile, was it the right purchase? Especially with the car or motorbike, if you don't look back at it every now and again, or every time you get off of it and smile, did you buy the right bike? Did you buy the right car? This car does that for me. Every time I look at it, I think, do you know what, that's a lovely car. I definitely always keep toying between, you know, chopping it in for a 540i, but I really wouldn't get a lot different in this car. So in terms of the equipment, it would still be the same car. I would just get a faster engine. But yeah, all in all, I think the car is just awesome. It really is great. To summarise then, across a few different driving types, it's great on motorway speeds, it's incredibly frugal, especially if you use Eco Pro mode. In town driving situations, it's comfortable. You can put it in comfort mode, it will just iron out all of the bumps, and it's so quiet in here and relaxing. It's honestly fantastic. Put it into the sportier modes, the steering is more dynamic, everything kind of sharpens up, and yeah, it's a really enjoyable experience. Even for, you know, a wagon, for, you know, a touring vehicle, this car feels nimble and light, and it's enjoyable to drive. So as always guys, that brings us to the end of the review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments section. I'd love to get your feedback, and hopefully it's positive on this one. I'm happy to speak to anybody about this car if you've got any burning questions as well. But I just want to say thank you so much for your time and checking out the channel. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you on the next one.